Okay, welcome to day 4 of Chronological Bible in 1 year. We had a lot of going on in here, which I kind of need to explain a few things about what's happened, and it's not just one chapter after another. We start here in chapter 11 with the Tower of Babel, and that's a pretty big deal of what has happened, and it has everything to do with the lineage that we talked about yesterday through Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So let's start with the lineage from yesterday. Just real quickly, if you had read through it, I made a chart for myself, but I want to point this out to you. How did they get to the land of Babylon, Babylonia? And Abram actually had settled in Ur and moved all into close to the land of Canaan, and then from Canaan went to Egypt, and Egypt back to Canaan. Remember, the land of Canaan is a cursed lineage. But in those travels, we have the Tower of Babel. Yesterday, at the end of chapter 10, we learned about Noah having Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So Shem's lineage is the blessed line. It goes from Shem, Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, and then Peleg. And Peleg has descendants of people of the world that were divided and dispersed into different language groups in the year 2391 BC. And if you just do the math with the beginning of time from Adam all the way through here, you get the years of 2391, very close to what those years are, BC. And so what is Peleg important? That's the time when the Tower of Babel was built and all the people were divided and dispersed. Well, in chapter 11, we see as the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. Come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. Verse 7, come, let's go down. This is God. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other. This is the first time where people are coming together like a one world type of government. For an example, early on. And I say this because Babylon's mentioned in Genesis. It's mentioned in Revelation as well. And it's destroyed throughout the ages here. It's going to be destroyed again at the end. All of this is tied together. Now, here's what I really want you to get from this. If you read the Bible only literally, you're going to have problems. Talking about the dragon coming out of the sea in Revelation. Well, there's not a real dragon that's coming out of the ocean. That's talking about the Antichrist coming from a sea of people being voted into power. And he is a dragon, meaning he is of Satan. He is evil. He will do the works of Satan himself. You cannot take the Bible only literally. You can't take it figuratively. Because if you do only figuratively, then you can make the Bible say whatever it is you want it to say. And that's not good. You must take this as the breath of God. Something that he is saying to us, a conversation. The second you start reading this as a conversation, then things start to fall into place and they make total sense. So in conversations, we say literal things and figurative things, and it's understood that you can read in between the lines. You're not so dogmatic or just pragmatic. You can read between the lines and understand what they're saying. So once you hit chapter 11, you had all of the lineage, and he's telling you all this stuff, and I said, okay, back up. Let's talk about the Tower of Babel. That was in the lineage from Shem through Peleg. Okay, and then from Peleg we go on down and we get Abram. So from Peleg it goes down to Ru, Serug, Nahor, Terah, and Terah had Abraham and Lot. I'm sorry, Terah had Abram and Nahor and Haran. Haran had Lot, and Lot was Abram's nephew. Okay? Haran died, so Abram took Lot his nephew as his own, and let Lot travel with him, and eventually went to Egypt because there was a famine in Canaan, and then eventually went back to Canaan. Well, think about this. Joseph was sold into slavery into Egypt, and there was a famine in Canaan, and his his dad and his brothers and their families all came to Egypt. And tomorrow you're going to read about the prophecy of the Israelites living in Egypt for 400 years, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. So my point is, read this as a conversation and you will get that you have some things that are given to you literal, and then they take a breath, and there's a breath, and you got to explain things. So God's explaining things to us of things that are happening during these ages that are going on. So very, very important stuff. And then also in chapter 11, you get the lineages as well from Shem. But here's the thing. They're settling in the land of Canaan, which is the cursed land. And in that land, you have all these different peoples that are cursed that we talked about yesterday. So let's talk about what God says to Abram in chapter 12. The Lord said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others, and will bless those who bless you. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. Not just during that time period, it just says all families. It's talking about throughout time, anybody who is blessed, the people of God, the Israelites of today, will be blessed. And the United States was blessed immensely through it, and we continue to be blessed when we bless Israel. And right now, that's what's happening. It's a great, great thing to witness throughout all of history. Verse 6 of chapter 12, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the oak of Moreh. At that time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. These are the cursed people. Famine struck the land, then he was forced to go down to Egypt. And we go on, and then he gets back, eventually back into the land of Canaan. And then chapter 13, verse 7, so disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. If you go back through the lineage, you see that the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, all these people are descendants of Ham, who are cursed by God. And there's all these breakouts. So Abram and Lot, separate ways, and there's problems in the land, and there's the first war that breaks out. If you go into chapter 14, we talk about the first war, and people have taken sides, and they're all people from the lineage of Ham. And war breaks out, and they end up taking Lot and his family. And Abram goes in and he rescues them, and God blesses Abram by defeating everybody that is in contact with Lot. Here's the next thing that I want to point out. Extremely important. Genesis chapter 14, verse 18. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, and a priest of God Most High. A priest of God Most High. When did that happen? He is the first person named who is the priest of God Most High. He is the high priest. Way before Aaron, way before Moses' relation to Aaron, who is the high priest. Melchizedek is the first one listed during this time period. And if you read on in Hebrews 5:6, it's talking about Christ. And then it says, in another passage, God said to him, you are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. So again, something that's extremely important. We talk about priests starting, the worship of God has already started in Genesis. And then we have the first high priest, Melchizedek. And what does Abram do? Abram gives him 1/10 of the spoils of everything that was taken. You don't have to go to Moses to hear God saying you should give 1/10 of everything to us. You have Cain and Abel giving things back to God, and Cain wasn't happy because God wasn't happy with what Cain gave him. Cain did not give the best of what he had, his vegetables and all the things that he had grown, to God. And that made Cain really upset because Abel gave the best stuff to God, the choice meats and everything. So we have all of this stuff way back in the early Genesis at the very beginning of how we are supposed to give our first fruits to God. So don't wait until we get commandments. But that's another thing you need to remember. These people don't have the 10 Commandments. And when we get the 10 Commandments, I'll talk about that. Okay? So wonderful, wonderful things in day 4. Lots of great things to be talked about. And remember, the most important thing, this is a conversation. And try to read it as a conversation. And most of the things that cause people to stumble, you won't have a problem with. So welcome back to day 4. Can't wait for day 5.